back in work a couple of days and getting ready for your next weekend game against Northampton. 4 league points from your last 2. You might have been more happy with picking up 6, but it's not a bad return and something there to build on again, which has not been a bad start for you in the first third of the season.
No, like I said, we've had a tough start, but now we're getting into the nitty-gritty, and we can't keep saying we've had the second toughest start of everyone. We've got to start proving our worth, and that starts tomorrow, I suppose.
What's impressed you in the opening sort of 15, 16 games, and what do you think you've got to improve on?
I think the adaptability of our players has not surprised me, but pleased me. They've picked up the level quite quickly. After 3-4 games, they were of the level. Obviously, would have preferred it not to have been 3 or 4 games, but that's what it was. And then, I think we need to score more goals, but I'm not overly worried because I think it's more just taking his chances as opposed to creating chances. If we weren't creating chances, I'd be more worried, put it that way. So I think that's probably the big things. But there's hundreds of little things that have pleased me and disappointed me in equal measure, really. So, like I say, we're a work in progress. We're getting better. And if we keep progressing, then I'm sure we'll win more games of football.
Well, let's talk about what is going to be a momentous day tomorrow. No doubt about that. The fans are coming back to the Alexander Stadium. Nearly 9 months, I think, since your last beat Stevenage at home.
Yeah, it's going to be a great day. It's going to be a great day. Obviously, it won't be a full house, but any supporters that get to see the game is welcome and a step in the right direction. I hope they follow the rules. I hope they follow the guidelines. I hope they don't show any disrespect when we take the knee before the game, like we've seen last week, which I thought was appalling. I hope they and enjoy the afternoon. And I appreciate that it's going to be difficult and different for them in terms of what they can and can't do, and it's all new. Because I can remember when we first went to the ground, it's like, all right, you can't walk in, you can walk in, you've got to do this, and you've got to do that, and it's a bit trepidatious, if you like, but it's a step in the right direction. So we hope that we hope they enjoy the afternoon and they see us and they cheer on a victory.
You've been in football for over 20 odd years. You've never ever seen anything like this. It's been eerie at times, hasn't it? But now you are going to get the fans back. What's been missing? What's that big thing that's been missing from the fans?
Well, it's emotion, isn't it? From everyone. I think some of the games have been sterile. That's not a criticism of anyone. That's needs must. But they do take something away. There's nothing better than seeing some fella, middle-aged fella, who's just absolutely lost his head because we've just scored a goal. There's no better feeling. There's no better scene. Some fella falling over an advertising board because he just wants to touch one of the players. That's what emotion does. That's what football does to you. And I hope we see them, maybe not exactly them kind of scenes, but we do hope that we see some emotional scenes tomorrow, because that's what football is, a big part of football.
I could even mention a manager running down the touchline and slipping over in his shoes and losing his watch and his keys, but I won't. David
Pleat had just won the cup final.
Yeah.
And Jose Mourinho had just beat Man United at Old Trafford with an unfancied Porto team. Next question, Graham.
I thought I'd just slip that one in. You made me, it just fitted in quite. Yeah, I quite agree. We're the same. Don't worry about that. But there's going to be some real exciting households, isn't there, Dave? Because the kids have missed it as well. For to come with the granddads and the dads and their uncles and their aunties and everything else.
One of the big things the government were really keen on, and the DCMS, was to make sure that football continued for the actual mental health of the nation, which sounds a really grand statement, but it's true. It is true. It's like you said, how many families, dad, son, uncle, all meet up on a Saturday afternoon. You know, how many of them do it? There's a lot. There's a lot. You know, and how many of them see friends, you know, unrelated. They don't have to be in the pub. They'll just sit next to them every game, sit one row behind them and have a chat at half time. You know, there's going to be people that probably don't return because they're no longer with us because of what's happened. And they'll be like, oh, where's so-and-so? I haven't seen him since we've come back. Or maybe I've just missed him because it's 2000 and he's, or whatever, or he's not, you know, then suddenly it dawns on you. And they're big things. That sense of community, that sense of belonging. And it doesn't matter whether you're a community club like ours that's sort of smaller in size and provincial and all the rest of it, or a big sort of PLC like it's in the Premier League, like a Man United or whoever. You have that community. Now, you know, you go to Old Trafford, you seem to get old. I'm sure you sat next to the same people every week. That's your little community in 67,000, whatever it is. You have your same routine, you meet the same people. No different at Crewe. And it's huge, it's huge, you know, and that's the sooner we can get back to that, you know, and that sense of normality, the better. And this is a huge step.
Yeah, well, it's pleasure and enjoyment for everybody who can get along tomorrow, and to any football club that's bringing those fans back. Let's hope they all enjoy it. But for you, it's back to work, and you've got to be focused because you're wary of what Northampton pose.
Yeah, we know what Northampton are. There's no secret to what Northampton are. And we've got to be ready for it. It's as simple as that.
Is it all about being up for those battles because you know that's going to be in the game tomorrow?
Yeah, I think that's a large chunk of it. I think you've got to make sure you're not physically beaten or in any way, shape or form give them cheap wins, whether that be contested battles or duels and cheap free kicks, you know, goals from set pieces, whatever it might be. You've got to make sure that you do all the basics very well because that's what Northampton pride themselves on. And so you've got to make sure that you stand up to that and match that.
So an update on the injured player, the latest injured player in Callum Ainley, because that was a bit of a serious injury to him. What's the latest with him?
Yeah, we felt it was quite serious early on, if you like. Obviously, you can't tell straight away at Cheltenham, but the fact that he was still really sore, couldn't put much weight on it the day after, and it's your hamstring, you're going, ooh, that's just not a good sign. Scan. And he's had to have an operation on it. So he'll be out for, I think, about 12, 14 weeks. So it's a chunk of time. It's a chunk of time.
And is there any further improvement with Donovan Daniels? Is that getting better?
Yeah. Donovan's probably 8 weeks away, something like that. So he'll be okay in the new year. Josh Lundstrom had a follow-up scan on his stress fracture Wednesday. We got the results back yesterday. That's not healed very well, so we think he's going to have an op as well and have some screws in his stress fracture. So we're just trying to sort that out this morning as well. So that's another blow for us and for him, obviously. So, you know, there's them three. That's about it, really. We've got one lad who got concussed a week last Wednesday in the 23s. So he's returning to train. He's now going through the protocol of returning 7 days out, returning to training the next 5 days.